What's up, guys? So, Canyon Clash is coming up. Alliance mobilization is in full swing. And, naturally, today's video. Tundra Trading Station. Once again. So, we got lots of vouchers here we can go ahead and redeem here. Go ahead and get rid of a bunch of extra added junk that we no longer need. Now, for a lot of you out there starting out, you probably will not see this for a while. But eventually there is, in fact, a point when, yes, you don't need vouchers for these things anymore. So, of course, naturally, you're going to get a lot of voucher. And when you do, you might be wondering, okay, out of everything I can buy in here, what do I buy? So, Tundra Trading Station has like a lot of different things you can buy in here. And you can poke around this as much as you like. But in terms of items, a lot of people love to use them for the widgets because you can get, say like you're in Season 5. And let's say you want to go ahead and just get 9 widgets for something, right? Now you can go out and say, oh, I don't have the widget for this guy. Well, I can go ahead and enhance it. And hey, conveniently, I can get the upgrade. So I'm going to go ahead, put the 7 in there, enhance, and voila. Now, you should probably think ahead of time, right? Unless you're like, man, you just don't care, right? And you got to show somebody something cool for the video. You kind of work your way up to, eventually getting to the point where, okay, you need a stupid amount of widgets. And it's not going to give you like a whole lot, but it's something, right? The nice thing is that if you unlock enough widgets for your, Gen 3 through 4, and you're already in the Gen 5 area like I am, then, at least you get a little bit of value out of it. And it's not like a complete total waste, right? Now, on that note, I pretty much have Hector. That's kind of my go-to. So that's what I've got. And it's, it's working its way up. But one thing that I will say, irregardless of where you are in the game, if Tundra Trading Station does come up, and say you don't have enough for the actual widgets themselves, and you're just, floating on by, then the big thing with the Tundra Trading Station, I think, is, the next best thing are going to be the things that are really hard to come by. And I tend to find that getting design plans, your charm designs, and your charm guides, this is a good place to pick those up. And if anything, if you're working on your pets, you might as well pick up, say, energizing potions or even the serum, because you're not going to get those very frequently at all. In terms of value, those are really some of the bigger pieces that I feel like, to me, jump out. But, really about outside of that, really, about the only other item of value in here that you can really find use in, you might grab some essence stones, but the cost is pretty steep. In terms of what you get in, say like resources, for example, I, for one, kind of look at that as, yeah, sure, I'll go ahead and pick it up for the resources. Because to me, I never have enough bagged resources, so I always like to have a lot. So I will do that, which might sound really silly, but that is kind of what I decide to do, and it kind of pays out in the end. So if you don't have a lot, I think getting the resources might not be such a bad idea. Now, that said, in regards to Canyon Clash, I did have some people ask me kind of like, what is the strategy, right? What are some things that I should know right out of the gate? I'll be making a video on this to hopefully kind of cover it, because I'll see if I can maybe try to record what we'll do in ours. But it just depends on where you're at. Like if you end up getting paired up with, say 2 different alliances, right? One of the alliances is not good than the other. Almost always what ends up happening is, let's say I'm an Ice Guard. I have Storm Rage on my left, Flame Guard on my right. It almost always never works out the way you would expect. So like if, for example, maybe there's only 10 people that are on at Storm Rage, and there's 20 people on at Flame Guard, and you've got, say, 15 people in Ice Guard. Okay, well, the first thing you're going to realize is Flame Guard is going to overpower Storm Rage, and then they're going to pressure you pretty hard. So your only option is to pressure Storm Rage 2 and hope that you can take over the bottom half and the middle half of the map, right? That's what you want to aim for. Because then what you can do is, okay, you've got your pressure on Storm Rage now. You've got the extra forts. And then you can assign titles. The key is titles in this game of fighting between the people. Because what you tend to find a lot of people do not pay enough attention to is actually the guardianship. Okay? I point this out because if you pay attention to the building details, you're going to get points based on the type of buildings you obtain. So, like, for example, if you take a bunch of strongholds, you're not really making head over tails. But if you're taking over the fortresses, for example, you're getting the same if you had the center of the map and if you had a bastion. You know, even if you got, say, 3 clusters of ruins, for example, you're going to be getting the same amount if you were holding a fortress. You know, there's only like 3 fortresses that you're going to want to grab in the beginning. And eventually, basically, think of it as there's one route, right? But when it unlocks, what happens is there's another route that happens in between here and between here. You know, vice versa, the same is also true going on each side. All right, so you have a fort there, and each place has that fort. Okay, and the problem I've often find happening is mid-battle, people forget that this is there. And so another front will open, and if your opponent knows that, they'll jump across, and then they'll jump and hit you from behind when you're sitting here on the left flank, the right flank, or the top flank, not paying any attention to this other flank that opens up mid-game. So, big thing that I will tell you is, as far as Canyon is concerned, is that while you also have to strategize that way, making sure you've got your guardianship to your top players so that they're getting extra fuel, you also want to make sure that you keep pressure on the enemy, because as long as you keep attacking them, they can't reinforce. That is to say, they're unable to heal their troops in their base if they're constantly being attacked. And that will weaken their position, and eventually you'll actually be able to take it over. You know, and if you take the positions behind them, that's another way of accomplishing effectively the same thing. But the biggest thing you want to get out of this whole conversation with Canyon Clash and me today is that if you do decide to do that, make sure that you reinforce every battle that you get done with so you get heals. But you also want to kind of conserve fuel too, because if you don't, what ends up happening is if you die, you've got to go from this part of the map all the way over there, right? And that's painful. Like, if you have to do that constantly, you run out of fuel and then you lose. So you got to strategize too. You don't want to get careless with your troops. That's actually how you can, pretty much cause the opposing side to lose. Because what ends up happening a lot of the time is if you take up enough part of their map, you get a lot more fuel than this side does. And therefore, the more you own, the more fuel you have, the more likely you are able to get away with being careless or reckless with losing armies left and right. Most of the people that should be spearheading that, though, are going to be the people that your whales are capable of. And you can play defensive if you want, but I often find the best defense is a great offense. Ultimately, that's what I recommend as far as Canyon Clash is concerned. But yeah, as far as Alliance of Mobilization goes, this is just a walk in the park. It's just, I wouldn't get too crazy spending in it either, because a lot of people do, and I don't know. I'm of the opinion that what you do is you just do the very bare minimum, but enough to get the points, and then that's all I do. I don't really go much further than that. One of the things that kind of still, it irks me in such a way is, like, even now I got to spend 5,000 gems, and I'm like, well, what do I spend the 5,000 gems on? Well, I can go inside here and go to the nomadic merchant. I could go to arena shop even, grab some stuff out of the arena shop. There's so many different shops, right? I mean, even now, like, I got 200 in here. I could go pick up 50 of those, and then maybe I can go over here and say I can upgrade this, and and then I can use like maybe 18 hours of that, or a little bit more. Just give myself that much more, a little bit more. We're almost there. Get that one more. Okay, so like there's 5K, and then we'll just go ahead and do it. Boom. And, voila, I've got my mission completed, and I've also got the nice perk of getting all the loot on top of that. Now, the silly thing is, of course, I have that quest And then I've got to have another set of fire crystals for another quest, so I got to do it again. Well, that's the benefit of this game. It's constant. In any case, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys next Canyon Clash.